This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Profitability Movement. Google Profitability-Movement to join this community of business owners focused on building profit, increasing wealth, and giving back. Thank you for joining us. Here's how we will help your business and you today. I was sitting in Orlando, Florida at the FRACA meeting talking about how great MeasureQuick was. And guess who was in the audience? Jim Bergman. I guess you designed it, founded it, and have grown it. Is that correct, Jim?
Pretty much so, yeah. I've got a team of people over here that help us with the programming, but I've sort of the mastermind behind how all of it works.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the way I look at it, and I have a lot of contractors that I work with who use MeasureQuick, and as you can tell, I'm probably a pretty devoted fan of MeasureQuick. But the thing that it really does, from my perspective, is Energy Star has said that 50% of all home installations are installed incorrectly. MeasureQuick proves to a customer and gives the customer peace of mind that their installation was proper. And if you sold them a 3-ton systems, it proves that the capacity was 39,997 BTUs. That type of thing. It gives homeowners peace of mind. And on the service side, it looks at it from a different perspective. There are so many techs who are weak out there who probably use MeasureQuick to find out how to diagnose the system so that they look smarter than they actually are. So Jim Bergman, who is the brains behind MeasureQuick, welcome to Contractor Sense.
Oh, thanks, Ruth.
So, you started out as a trainer, didn't you?
I actually started out as a service technician and spent 15 years in the commercial industrial segment, and then was a teacher for 12 years at a high school teaching heating and air conditioning in a vocational program, and did adult education programs at night, did carrier Protex training, and then eventually got into designing hardware, software applications for the HVAC industry. And about 4 years ago or so, we started MeasureQuick.
So you just got really sick and tired of technicians not knowing what they were doing and not having the tools to figure it out, right?
It was trying to get young people more productive in their career early on, because the technology was changing so rapidly and also had such a long life in our industry. So students would have to know anything that was from 20 years old to current, or even sometimes, from the 1950s to current. And it was, we had about 1,080 hours, which is about 6 months of on the job, training in a school program. Mm-hmm. It's like, how can you get somebody from, and people go, a 2-year program. Well, it's literally only 1,000 hours. So what are you going to get done in 1,000 hours? You're going to learn the fundamentals, learn the basics. So it's how can I take somebody in that short amount of time and get them productive early in their career, and let them have resources at their fingertips so they could actually get these problems solved and be more of an asset to a company early on than a liability. But it sort of turned out that, as I got more and more in the education scene in the industry, I found out that not only were my students challenged with the fundamentals, but the entire industry was challenged with the fundamentals. And so, that's really why we have such a huge user base with MeasureQuick today.
Yeah. I am not going to tell you who, and I'm not going to tell you where. One of my clients said his son was working in another area of the country and had been introduced to MeasureQuick, and he was home visiting, and my client contractor hadn't heard of it. Either he hadn't heard me talk about it or whatever else it is. So his son went and put on the gauges on his system in the office, and I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but he basically went expletive deleted. The system is in really bad shape, and he never knew it. And he was a owner of the building and a contractor. So from that point on, he was absolutely engaged and amazed, and we're using this was his attitude. So, a lot of owners have their children using it in other areas of the country, bringing it home and going, all right, let's see where we are type thing. So I'm sure you run across that too.
We run across that actually a lot, where we have the next generation of technicians taking over their dad's business, mom's business, whatever, and they want to bring technology into the business. They want to modernize the business. They want to make the business a little bit sexier, to people coming in. And so, yeah, we do see a lot of people switching over to digital technology, MeasureQuick application, just because it makes the whole business not only look different, but function differently.
Well, the thing that I really like about it more than anything else is the reporting. You can give the homeowner a report that basically says, we did our jobs. And I like it from a sales perspective of replacement equipment. So, if you add, I think it's $5, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So if you add $5 to your maintenance agreement prices, which is next to nothing, and every year you give Mrs. Jones a report on how her system is performing, she can watch the capacity going down as the equipment gets older. And when it's 10 years old, she's seen it when it was brand new versus where it is now. And when somebody talks about replacing it, it's not a shock.
Yeah, and we've even taken that a step further now, where we're running what's called a vital score on the system. So it scores at A through F. And so Mrs. Jones, the first several years, she should, be between 195% on a new installation. But because there's an age component now to the scoring, it will naturally start to degrade over time. Along with the regular maintenance things that go on there. So we're looking at, things like static pressure and refrigerant charge and stuff like that. But yeah, it does drive that home every single, after, I think if year 5 is when we actually start doing an age degradation, but after year 5, you start to see that natural degradation of the system. And I think people that use a platform like this over time their consumers going to be a lot more receptive to the changing their equipment when it needs to be changed, because they'll see their score went from an A to a D. And so, now it's probably time to, look at swapping that system out again.
Yeah. And they can see it degrade over time. It's not like a tech walks in and there's a grounded compressor.
Yeah. And that's really important, because people take time to be mentally prepared to make a big capital investment. And I think, the cool thing is the software sort of takes the onus off the technician and puts it on the software. So, when you run a scan on Mrs. Jones' system and it comes back with a report, it's the software telling her that it's starting to degrade an operation, not the technician. It's not an opinion. It's just, here it is in black and white, and it's a lot more palatable to the homeowner.
Great. I agree. All right. Before we take a break, if somebody wants to find out more about MeasureQuick, where do they go? MeasureQuick.com, or just go to the Google Play or the App Store and download MeasureQuick onto your device, and you can start either place. Sounds good. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense.
Do you ever have warranty leak issues? One of Ruth King's clients did about 4 years ago. Thousands of dollars in expense and unhappy customers. She solved this problem for him, though. How? With a leak letter that every customer must sign when a service technician discovers a refrigerant leak. Once they implemented the letter, there were no more warranty leak headaches. No warranty leak callbacks. Happier customers. The surprising result was more replacement sales, too. To get a copy of the leak letter for free, just send Ruth an email at ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. That's ruthking@hvacchannel.tv.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I'm here with Jim Bergman, the founder and creator and brains behind MeasureQuick. And before the break, we talked about how MeasureQuick can help homeowners feel more comfortable and take the onus of reporting and bad news off the technician. And what I'd like to do is let's talk a little bit about what's necessary to use MeasureQuick. I know we need specific gauges, correct? They have to be Bluetooth. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. Well, we do have manual input, but really it's like buying a car, not buying gasoline, right? I mean, the probes are really what make the magic work with MeasureQuick. So, and what's cool with MeasureQuick is we're sort of agnostic. So you can use Testo, you can use Fieldpiece, you can use UEI, you can use Energy Conservatory products. There's probably about 10 different manufacturers that work with MeasureQuick, but all Bluetooth into the MeasureQuick application.
All right. And before the break, you mentioned download the app so they can play with it for free.
Oh, and you can actually use it for free. I mean, you can hook up all your Bluetooth tools. You can do diagnostics. You can do all your system, commissioning with it. What we charge for in MeasureQuick is actually the data feature. So storing that when we're done commissioning the equipment, we actually grab what's called a benchmark, which is sort of like the personality of the system when we store that in the cloud. Model numbers, serial numbers, metering device type, the target superheats and subcoolings, the static pressure when we commissioned it, so that when any tech comes back out in the future, they're always comparing the current operation to that of the benchmark that was done at the time it was installed or retro-commissioned, right? So, and then they also get their CRM integration. They also get their the data streaming. What's really slick is technicians may be having trouble figuring something out in the field. You can stream data to the office. You can stream data to another tech. You can stream data to your distributor. And we're even getting to the point now where some of the manufacturers have MeasureQuick on their device that you can even stream data to a manufacturer and get remote support without having to send a second tech out to the field for to assist the field tech.
All right, I have a question for you. How many really bad techs with respect to the ability to diagnose use MeasureQuick as their ability to diagnose?
I think it's mostly, believe it or not, it's as many bad techs as good techs. There are, nobody can catch anything and can catch everything, excuse me. And so we have a lot of technicians that are really good technicians that just want to see how they did on their diagnostic versus MeasureQuick. And they end up finding out a lot of times that there's some item that they missed, because we can pick up about 150 different between minor or major faults in systems. So and we can do it in a time the equipment's stabilized. So by the time you deploy your probes, you wait 3 to 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes for the equipment to stabilize. MeasureQuick knows, it has scored the system. It's run a full diagnostic, and it can tell you what's wrong with the system. It can tell you its capacity, its efficiency, all those things. And so there's not a single tech that can do that, because right at the time MeasureQuick has everything figured out is when the tech would actually just start to make the measurements.
Got it.
And because that system is dynamic, things are changing as fast, so the technician has to move pretty quickly and get their information. Otherwise, in 10 minutes, the temperature of the house has changed and the load conditions have changed and everything's changed again. So you have to, and with Bluetooth tools, we can continually monitor and do those things. So when you say good techs and bad techs, it's really a mix of both, but there's no way any tech can beat software. It's just, it's just
maybe
impossible.
maybe I shouldn't say bad techs. Maybe I should say inexperienced techs.
Yeah.
That's fair, I think.
Yeah. Well, and we have all levels of experience using the software, because it's a great productivity tool, even if you're highly experienced.
Yeah. All right. So it works obviously on air conditioning. How about on heating?
It works on air conditioning, heat pumps, refrigeration. We have a whole gamut of different things. Heat pumps in the heating mode, multi-stage, multi-circuit equipment, a lot of different variety of things we can do with MeasureQuick.
So I can walk up onto a 10-ton package unit on a roof and use it, correct?
You could walk up on a 120-ton telepack and use it, sure.
Okay. So this is, pretty ubiquitous for what we can do in the industry. So that's what makes it really work. I've been a fan of it since I found out about it several years ago. I think you and I had a conversation, 2 or 3 years ago, when I found out about it. And I started promoting it, and I really have seen the contractors I work with, their technicians, as you say, be more productive. And the homeowners, which is the people who write our paychecks, guys and ladies, are much more comfortable with that report than they are with the tech. I'm sorry, they just like the paper better. And I don't, there's nothing against any of the technicians and your professionalism and things like that, but they like the paper. They like the proof of what the tech is saying. And are you finding anything different?
No, I mean, it's when you can hand somebody a couple different things. Our industry's been antiquated for so long. The old, pulling out the gauges and the sling psychrometers and wet bulb thermometers and all these crazy things that we've been using for a long time. It sort of made our industry look very antiquated. And all of a sudden, when you have a technician come up and actually use technology and, have their iPad out and streaming the data to the device and run a scan on the system. And there's, it's very visual for the consumer. I think just the overall presentation and professionalism is much, much better. And it gives the consumer higher confidence. And what's cool is they can feel that way for a reason, because they are getting a better diagnostic. They are getting more accurate reporting. They are getting, everything that they're getting is substantially better and that's where the money meets the road.
Yeah. And remember who your customer base is now. It's not Mrs. Jones, who is 90 years old, 80 years old, who doesn't even know how to use email. It's the young up and coming people who are getting houses, who are used to technology. And I think if they saw a sling psychrometer, they would go, what in the world is that? You and I both know what one of those is, but I don't think a lot of techs know about them anymore.
I think that's a big challenge in our industry today. It's that would be like a millennial going in and the doctor getting the thermometer out of the cup of alcohol and telling you what they're going to do next.
And using a slide rule to make the calculations.
So,
Jim.
Some things don't go over well.
No, definitely not. So, MeasureQuick.com. It is absolutely free to download the app and start using it. If you want the reports, it's $5 a system or a customer.
A system per year. Yeah. We actually believe that you're only going to go out once. So, once a system's open, it's open for the year, which is also really cool for training your staff on MeasureQuick, because you can have a project at your office and you could have 150 techs go through that same system and there's no additional charge for it. It would just, once a project's open for the year, it's open. And we store that data indefinitely. And then on years you don't use it, you don't pay anything. So, and you don't pay anything anyway, because it's actually designed to be a pass through to the customer. There's no overhead cost on it. It's like an operational cost, like capacitors. So you don't have to budget for it. You just tack it onto the invoice. And then, 2 or 3 years later, if you go back out there again, you just, you bill your customer to open up the project again, pull the data back down, compare the current operation to that of the past, all normalized for the current load conditions, and run your diagnostic and print out your report again. Super simple.
Cool. Jim Bergman, MeasureQuick, thank you very much.
Hey, thanks for having me out, Ruth.
And thank you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you liked today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you're listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money, too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email Ruth King at hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.